Hi guys, welcome to Game of Two Halves. This is another episode of our Prime debate where we get people to recommend some top players and we rank them in their prime. It's our personal preference, and in this instance we don't necessarily do it based on their career in terms of, what they've won, things like that. We might touch on that at some point, maybe do a reorder and submit different orders.
Yeah,
all that
based
kind of
off
thing.
what they've won, yeah.
Yeah, but for the sake of understanding, we're going to be ordering these due to personal preference from what we saw from them.
Yeah, just how we saw them as a player.
Yeah.
If they had one good season and the other one had 10 good seasons, it's not going to matter because it's just how we saw them as a player.
It's our favourite out of the players available and how we want to order it. So, if you want to let the people know the 5 players that we've got this week.
So, it was Matt Taylor that gave us these players this time. So, the players are Scholes, Kevin De Bruyne, Gerrard, Lampard, and Yaya Toure.
Some great midfielders there.
Amazing. Like we've done 2 prime debates now, and this is by far the worst. Like the hardest.
I've not really been happy with any list I've come up with. Like I'm happy
Yeah,
with
same.
parts of it.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed when I have to put any player in certain places in the list. But that's, I suppose, what makes it so interesting. And everybody will probably have slightly different takes.
I'm furious with my own list.
I'm not very pleased with mine.
But you can't, there's no order, like you say, that will make it better.
Yeah, it's difficult to put anyone bottom of your 5. But, people enjoy this kind of content now. Everyone seems to be ranking players and lists and managers and all things like that. So...
yeah, so what we'll do is, at first, we'll go through each player, and we've picked an iconic moment that we just remember. As soon as you say the player, we go, this moment.
Yeah.
So we'll go through what iconic moment we've both got for these players.
Yeah.
So shall we start with Scholes?
So mine for Paul Scholes is his goal against Barcelona in the Champions League.
Yeah.
Again, I know it's not Premier League, but it doesn't really matter for the sake of this. Obviously, there's lots of great passes, absolute daisy cutters, worldy scream. He scored quite a lot of goals from outside the area.
Similar to Gerrard, they were both specialists at taking long shots, weren't they?
Yeah, definitely. But that's the one that comes to mind for me. It's a big game. I feel like I actually remember that one as a kid as well. Like I don't think it really resonated how important it was at the time. That's something you kind of understand as you get older, but that's the first thing that comes to mind for me for sure.
Right. So mine's the volley versus Aston Villa.
Yeah.
You do know that, yeah?
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. Crossbar and him. Yeah, fantastic. That's what I see when I see Scholes.
Yeah, I think he had quite a few volleys and half volleys and stuff like that. I think of Rooney like in a similar vein.
Yeah.
Volleys and long range efforts and stuff, and like you say, Gerrard as well.
It's one of them where they can easily go wrong. Like you just put all your power into it and it can easily go so far high.
As long as you're hitting the target with the sort of power that they had,
yeah,
you're probably sticking it away, aren't you? But it's a great one, to be fair. And yours is in the Premier League as well, so which is better, I suppose.
Yeah. My next one's not Premier League. So if you go Gerrard's, mine's the Champions League comeback, just his header.
Against Milan.
Yeah.
I've got the same.
Have you?
Yeah.
It's an iconic moment because he's basically dragged his team to win that.
Yeah, I think everybody, especially Liverpool fans, more so than us, could probably speak on it better. But the individual performance to pull his team back into a game that they looked well out of, pick them up by the scruff of the neck and get them going, it's a good goal.
Yeah.
It's not like as good as maybe some of the other goals on this list, but in the context of the match and then how that affected how that game came to a close, it's iconic in his career and in Liverpool's football club's history, really.
Yeah.
So I'm sure people come out with some absolute worldy screamers.
I bet people have a lot of different iconic moments for these players, don't they? So Lampard next.
Lampard, let me check my notes. So I had to research this because I didn't know who it was against. Before. It's against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. It's a 05 Champions League. A ball comes through from the edge of the box. It's like a curled ball. He takes it on his chest and then hits it on like the half volley, but he has to turn and hit
with
it.
his left foot.
I think so. I think because he turns like that and hits it.
I didn't know it was against Bayern.
Yeah, against Bayern in the Champions League. Sort of out of all the goals that I can think of, because I said when I think of some of these players, I think of a lot of England moments personally, mainly because I think because we were younger growing up at the time, I didn't watch these other clubs playing an awful lot.
So what was the Lampard iconic moment for England that you thought?
Oh yeah, it's not a good one. It's the ghost goal, if that's what you would call it, when obviously he scored against Germany.
Yeah,
and it clearly bounces over the line in the days before goal line technology. It's still something that I feel like I could get mad about to this day.
Yeah, it was so far over. Even with goal line technology, you'd see it was over, but
miles over. But even like when you watch the video of it back now, it's so obvious. Like the keeper has to pull it back from behind the line, and so that's something bad that I associate with him. It'll live with me forever, and it's not his fault.
It's a shame, isn't it? Really,
it could have been an iconic moment for him. Who knows?
Yeah. So we'll go to Yaya Toure. I think he's had so many like worldy goals, but
Did you say yours on Lampard? What was your?
Oh, skip Lampard.
You skipped yours.
All right. So mine versus Lampard is the chip versus Hull City. So it's where, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's where he's on the edge of the box on the left-hand side and someone puts it back to him and he uses his left foot as well, chips it, and it ends up going to the far
Is it
post.
like a set-piece routine?
No.
No, because I'm thinking of a goal like that.
I think they failed the set piece, then tried crossing it again, but then gave it back to
out.
Yeah, it's come back out.
Is that right?
I thought it was amazing. I thought that, did he just mean to dink it into the box? But I think he's put that much power to get it over there. I think he's meant it.
He's tried to and catch the keeper out.
Yeah. So that's mine for Lampard. So we've got KDB and Yaya Toure to go through now. So shall we go Yaya Toure?
Yeah. So mine again. I had to Google this because I knew the goal.
It was a weird team.
Didn't know who it was against. Yeah. And I don't even think, but it's by means his best goal. It's just this was just the one that came to mind for me. And this is in the Champions League against Victoria Pilsen. No idea how
it is. Very odd how to say that team.
And he's just on the edge of the area, takes a couple of touches, and the amount of curl that he gets on it, it's like Roberto Carlos-esque. Like it looks like it's going wide.
Yeah.
Creeps back in just under the crossbar.
As he curls it, he's like leant back as well. It's
when you're looking at it from the angle where it almost looks like it's behind him, it doesn't look like it's going in.
No.
And that's just the one that I remember because I think I remember watching it like midweek Champions League at the time. And I know he had an awful lot of iconic goals like running from deep, more long range efforts and stuff. But that's the one that immediately comes to mind for me for some reason.
So it's funny you say he's had iconic moments running from deep. So my iconic moment was he ran the length. Basically, they ran the length of the pitch, but I think it was like from halfway line-ish. And that was against Aston Villa, I think.
Right, yeah.
That was just that was just when you say Yaya Toure, I just think that goal because it shows how much of a powerhouse he was in that central midfield.
Yeah, embodies,
like you say, no one could touch him.
That embodies everything that he was brilliant at and that made him different from other players.
Yeah,
was like that power, but also like there was a bit of pace there. And
he was fast.
Yeah, for his build, he was really fast.
He peaked late in his career.
Yeah, I think personally saw the best from him at City.
Yeah, before that, he was at Barcelona and you didn't really see consecutive like seasons of it, did you?
Not at that level, I don't think.
Because he always had Busquets there. He was more second fiddle, wasn't he? But yeah, at City, you just realised how good of a player he was.
Yeah, he was the main man for at least a season when he had that really, really good high-scoring season. He was probably one of the best players in the league, certainly probably City's best player that year.
Yeah, one of my favourite players in the Premier League, and I hate to say it because it's a City player, but... right, Kevin De Bruyne.
So this was quite easy for me, and I've cheated a little bit, I think, because it's not necessarily a moment; it's a game, but it's his performance in that game.
Oh right, okay.
So last season, the 2022-23 season, all the talk all year about Arsenal being the title contenders, and they're obviously atop the league for the majority. and then Arsenal have to go to the Etihad.
Oh, so you're doing a recent one? You're doing last year?
Yeah, I think just in the grand scheme of it, in that game against Arsenal, they won 4-1. De Bruyne scored 2 goals. He got the assist for John Stones' goal. And they then go on to win a treble, of which that Premier League title is part of, obviously. And that game is pivotal when you're playing against the team in and around you at that top spot. And I just think if anything encapsulates what he's brought quality-wise to City, it's a moment like that where he's taken the game by the scruff of its neck, pulled all his teammates are brilliant anyway, but like put it on the plate for his teammates, scored the goals himself as well, and they're like, listen, this title's ours.
There are a lot of players that say, can De Bruyne be considered that great because he's always out for the big games? But you've just mentioned there, that's one of the big games to help them win the Prem.
Certainly last season.
But then he's been injured in the last 2 Champions League finals, right?
Yeah.
So people are questioning that.
It's difficult.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. My iconic moment for De Bruyne was, people might not remember this when I say it, but a pass to Sane to assist him for the goal. It was one of them moments where, so say when we've been on about like Suarez and Rooney's before, and sometimes, like say when Messi does something, it's like a jaw-dropping moment. You just look at it and you go, wow, how's he done that?
Yeah.
De Bruyne does that with his passes for me.
Yeah.
And this pass to Sane was just unreal. He was on one end of the pitch. He's literally switched the ball, but he's kept it on the floor.
Yeah.
And it's just, Sane's just running, and he's overlapped someone and got to it. And it was, obviously you have to have the pace like Sane, but the vision on it was just incredible.
It's like the vision and the footballing mentality to know he can play an absolute, like you say, it's on the ball, on the floor, and he knows the weight he's got to hit on that with the pace of Sane for him to to make it.
Yeah,
he's already taken that into account. It's not like, oh, it's good Sane's fast, otherwise no.
Yeah.
That's the reason he's hit that ball in.
And the reason why De Bruyne's so good is because he always puts the ball in areas where he thinks they will be, not where they are. And I think that's a great mind, a key to a great mind.
It almost looks like, when you see a pass like that sometimes, this is when I think it sometimes demonstrates how good the footballing brain is.
Yeah.
Is when if you pause that at the moment he strikes the ball and someone had never seen the goal before, you're like, where's this going to go?
Yeah, you wouldn't think it'll go where it's going, yeah.
You see it sometimes, when the players have got their back to play and they do a little flick on.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're thinking, the obvious one is like, he's going to flick it off that foot in behind.
Yeah.
And actually it's something completely different, or they drop a shoulder. Those moments are what make players great. And I think like what you were saying with someone like De Bruyne with the footballing mentality that he has, and obviously has the technical ability to match. Some people know about that pass but couldn't pull it off.
Yeah.
And he's forever doing things like that, isn't he, really?
Yeah, I don't ever see De Bruyne do a bad pass like something that never comes off, like doesn't come off.
Yeah.
It always comes off for him. So that's why De Bruyne's like so highly rated and as good as he is. Still playing, obviously, compared to the rest. But
yeah, it does. It's something that will weigh into account, I think, when we do this list. Because, I think, obviously, all the other players are now retired. Some of them for a lot longer. Yaya Toure played a bit more recent, didn't he? But so we'll weigh up our list then.
Yeah, so last time we did this, I think I went first and then you went after. So do you want to do that again?
Yeah. So should I go 1 to 5 or 5 to 1?
Go 1 to 5.
Okay.
That'll be better.
So we'll go no context for now. We'll just go through them and then we'll touch on it after.
So I'll go first then.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, all right, okay. Right, so I've got Scholes, Gerrard, Yaya Toure, Kevin De Bruyne, Lampard.
I've got Scholes, De Bruyne, Gerrard, Lampard, Toure.
You got Toure at the end?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not, it's a difficult one. I think this is where, to me, the consistency of the other players, it personally pulls him down my own internal ranking. I think from pure ability and how good Yaya Toure was at his best, I honestly think there's a case to be made that he might be the best on the list. I don't think that's an outrageous
That's why
shout.
I've got him higher, but This is why it's annoying me, because I'll have people shouting at me now. I put Yaya Toure above De Bruyne, but I was swapping them about like all the time. And if I had De Bruyne over Toure, I'd be like, that's the same. Like I wouldn't be bothered. Do you know what I mean?
I think on his day, which is, it is a prime debate at the end of the day, so maybe my list should be different, but it's very tough because some of the other players on that list, their primes, I would say, were extended periods of time.
Yeah.
Whereas when I think of Toure, his prime has got to be that exemplary goal scoring season for City. That has to be his prime.
Yeah.
And at that point, I don't know if any of the others in that I've ever seen dominate games like that.
Yeah, I didn't see anyone better than Toure in that season.
Because I think it comes down to strength, the pace, even like the footballing ability. He knew when to turn, when to take a player on. But that guy could take a player on nearly every time. Because when are you getting the ball off a guy like that?
He just shrug you off as well.
It's almost like, it's not the same, but I see similarities in Haaland's game. Obviously, he ain't picking the ball up deep and running with it. His sole purpose is to be in goal-scoring positions.
Yeah.
But when he does get running with it, people aren't really taking it. He'll battle with you.
Yeah.
And I've got him bottom just because I think the disrespect I'd have to be showing to the players above.
I've shown it anyway, haven't I? But yeah, I've shown disrespect to Lampard, but that's what we say. This list is so annoying because I've put Lampard at bottom, and he's really like an amazing player.
It might be one of the best, if not the best, player to play for Chelsea Football Club. He's certainly in ridiculously high regard. If you don't think he's number one for Chelsea or whatever, he's right up there.
And let's not forget the goals he scored is absolutely phenomenal for a midfield player.
I think in terms of numbers, goal scoring numbers, he is better than Gerrard and Lampard. Yeah. I think their ability to change...
and Lampard?
Gerrard and Scholes. It's because people always say those two.
Yeah.
No one talks about Scholes. But in terms of how you go about affecting a game and dictating a game, I do think Scholes and Gerrard edge him there. And even then, I think it's tough to analyse them. When people... This has been like a football-long debate. When they were playing, it's still a debate now that they're not playing. It's a tough one to talk about because I don't think they're all that similar. Like, I would say, I think about Scholes as being easily the best out of the three at dictating...
Controlling the game.
And controlling a football match. Yeah. In the way that we've seen Spanish midfielders like Xavi and Iniesta do. Like, he was more, not as skillful as that, but he reminds me of that more kind of player that can calm it down, knock it around, completely change the game.
There was things going around that they said that he could get in our squad, like, do you know what I mean?
I think he was the most similar to that kind of league.
Yeah.
And then I think Gerrard is the one in the three that could probably play for any team.
Gerrard's one of them that could drag your team to victory, like, in any game.
Like, I think his mentality is the best of all three.
Yeah, he is.
And I think his ability is different in that he can do your long-range passes, he can score your long-range goals. He'll do whatever the team needs to turn it around.
In terms of dictating a game and taking the sting out of it if he needs to, yeah, there might have been games where he's done that, but not as much as Scholes.
He was, out of those three, Gerrard is the most captain material. Obviously, he was Liverpool's captain, but he's the one as well. Like, if I've got to smash into him, I'll smash into him. If I've got to take a red card here, I'll take a red card.
He came on against United that time, didn't he? And he got sent off within 2-3
It was a bit
minutes.
naive, that one, I think. He tried to put himself about, lift the crowd.
It's because, like, how we felt in our previous game, like, no one was putting tackles in. He's obviously been on the bench. He's come on. He's like, I'm doing this.
You've got to do that sometimes. If you can't, obviously a goal will lift the stadium.
Yeah.
And if you're getting played off the park and you can't get a goal, throw yourself into a challenge. Take a yellow card. Get the crowd on the feet.
Yeah, don't take a red card. But
no, if you're going to be a bit late, or it's a 50-50, absolutely hammer it. Yeah. Get the crowd on the feet. And Gerrard is probably second to none in terms of doing that. Roy Keane, obviously. Can't think of as many current players, to be honest, that kind of have that mentality. A lot of them are all very friendly with one another. And then if we go to Lampard, he was the one you'd associate more with being further forward, and he had the whole range of goals in his locker.
Yeah.
So obviously he scored more than the majority of them.
It was very underrated, people's opinions of Lampard, because as a midfielder, the positions he found himself in were like amazing. Like he always got himself in positions where it looked like the defenders were bad on the other team, but it wasn't. He had that much of a good footballing brain. He knew where to go.
Yeah, I think it helps that they all were in big, successful clubs from very early in all their careers. You know, obviously Frank Lampard coming from West Ham.
Yeah.
But he was very young when he got the move, and he was getting integrated into like first team football at a high level. And you look at the careers all three of them had at massive club. I think this is why they get compared so often, is they all had successful careers winning silverware. They were pretty much one club men, really. Yeah. And they were all playing a similar position.
Yeah.
At the same time, you know.
They all needed a defensive mid with them.
Yeah, I would say so, because that would be ensuring the best out of all of those players. But I think out of that list, though, I'd say they could all do that job bar Lampard. I feel like Gerrard and Scholes could do a job there.
Yeah.
Certainly Gerrard could have done the job
there.
Yeah,
yeah. But I see Gerrard... Scholes could do the job there just out of control in a game, but we've seen a lot of rash challenges from Scholes getting him sent off. And
he wasn't the best at tackling, really.
No, but in terms of controlling the game, he probably could do a job there. But yeah, I agree. Gerrard could definitely do a job there, but he just didn't want to. He offered so much going forward. I think they wanted. Wanted that more.
I do think there's a case to be made that Kevin De Bruyne could finish his career regarded as the highest in that list. If we start talking about individual accolades, he's won the treble now.
Yeah.
Which, obviously, very, very difficult to do.
It's only Scholes on there.
Only Scholes that's done that, yeah. Obviously, Gerrard never won the Premier League. He won the Champions League for Liverpool, and I assume some other trophies in, you know, where it would be FA Cup.
As weird as it sounds, Gerrard will probably be bottom.
He'd have to be. Well,
in terms of accolades,
it's difficult because Yaya Toure obviously won trophies at City, but he didn't win the Champions League with City.
No.
So you have to depend how much you weigh that up. If you're going to do it on the career, I do think Toure probably has to come bottom. A Premier League career, in terms of what he won with City, because I'd say that a European trophy counts for a lot.
Yeah.
And Lampard and Gerrard. So Lampard has both. Scholes has both. De Bruyne has both. And Gerrard has the European trophy. And a lot longer of a career in the Prem.
Yeah.
So I think on that basis, it's like how I've sort of come up with my...
you probably would keep Yaya at the bottom then, wouldn't you?
I probably would. Yeah. But then off natural ability, I struggle to put anyone that I've ever seen in the Premier League ahead of that level of dominance.
I will say this, though. Yaya Toure, for me, probably goes in my all-time... Like, if I was creating a team that I would put together a list of Premier League players from all time, and I'd put together a team to go and win me a game, Yaya Toure would be in it.
It's very tough to not include prime Toure in year 11, I would think, because...
But Toure is basically near the bottom or at the bottom in our list, but I'd have him in my team any day.
Yeah, he was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, goals from that deep are invaluable in a team. I think people underestimate how difficult that is to do.
Yeah.
But I think now when we look at it, you know, De Bruyne's the only one still playing. I want to say he must have 5 Premier League titles. He must have at least 4.
De Bruyne?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was looking at someone like Kyle Walker has 5. So I don't know the timeline of the signing, but he must have 4 or 5 at present. Could go on to win more, and you'd say he's probably very likely in his time there.
Probably this season as well.
The only thing you would say potentially with De Bruyne is we've seen a long-term injury in him every single year.
Yeah.
And at what point is that going to be acceptable for City when they're dominating?
It's probably getting worse now as well.
It doesn't really matter now. The longevity of De Bruyne's time in the Premier League is only increasing. He's won all there is to win now.
The game has changed a bit in the midfield area. It used to be just 2 in every team, and now it's 3 in every team.
Yeah, football goes through phases like that, doesn't it?
And Scholes actually said in his recent interview that I couldn't play in a 3. like Scholes actually said it, he couldn't play in a free. He was just not. He was too used to him and Keane just going back and forth. But yeah, it's a lot different now. Obviously, De Bruyne's got could De Bruyne play as a two in midfield? That's the questions you start asking. But if you start asking that, you're just looking too deep into it, and you'll never get to a result.
Yeah, I think you've got to take it on face value. You've got to put a few parameters in place so that you sort of can come to a decision.
Yeah.
Like I said, honestly, on natural ability, I can't think of a player better than Yaya Toure I've ever seen in terms of what he could do in a game. But I struggle. Obviously, it's supposed to be a prime debate, so maybe I should have him first. Who knows? I can't put him first of my list. I could in a different list.
Would you put him in your... If you wanted to make a team, like I said before, would you put him in yours?
I think I'd have to find a way to get him in.
Yeah, he'd be one of the first names on my team sheet.
So that ties it up. Those are our lists. We'll maybe put them on screen or put a graphic out or something like that.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts, where you would have those players in your personal rankings. And if you have any other ideas for sort of like a debate like that we can do where we try and order them due to our personal preference, maybe comment below and we might do a video on it. So thanks for checking it out. If you're seeing this and you don't listen to the podcast, check that out. If you've enjoyed this content, we release it every Tuesday. And we also put content out on all platforms, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, things like that. And you can find the podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So thanks for watching, listening. See you soon.